Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Okay, so here we go again. I guess it's par for the course. I'm not exactly surprised, even though it's completely insane. A federal judge, once again, is stepping in, attempting to hamstring this administration. Of course, we've gotten used to it at this point. The Democrats have planted activist judges in the Supreme Court and federal courts and state courts, and so at this point, it's just par for the course. If Donald Trump does something, there's gonna be a legal challenge, there's gonna be an attempt to block it. And it's part of the system, separations of power in a lot of ways. Or actually, maybe I should rephrase that in some cases. The challenge is legitimate, but this one, it seems absolutely insane. A federal judge is now attempting to block the Secretary of the Treasury from accessing Treasury records. These deranged, left-wing activist judges have gotten completely out of control, and they're now attempting to block the President of the United States and the executive branch from doing a simple audit of how taxpayer money is being spent. You might be asking yourself, well, how is that even legal? And well, according to Pam Bondi and JD Vance, it's not. It seems like this might just be another leftist attempt to blatantly violate the Constitution. Let's take a look at what's happening, shall we? We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Okay, so here's basically what's happening in layman terms. The Trump administration's doing their audit, and they're now looking at Treasury Department payments, and out of nowhere a judge comes in and says he's putting a stop to all of it, restricting their access to the Treasury systems. And this clearly is an unprecedented act. And here's Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi's reaction.
One of the favorite things about having a chance to have a conversation with a lawyer who gets it, if you will, is talking to someone who understands the separation of powers. And I mention that because we have a situation in this country right now, Attorney General, where a judge has decided unilaterally to prevent the Treasury Department from even accessing some of the records. And we're talking about even the Treasury Secretary. I guess two-part question. Have you ever heard of such a thing? And what, if anything, can be done to address that?
No, I have never heard of such a thing in my life. But, it's not unexpected given the two-tier system of justice that we're facing in this country. And, what Elon Musk has been doing at Doge is remarkable. He is such a great man. He is a good friend. And he is doing this for the right reasons. There's a reason the people at Treasury don't want the Secretary of Treasury nor Doge to have those records. There was a reason at USAID they did not want anyone to have those records. We found out at USAID they're giving $1.5 million to Serbia for transgender. They're giving over $1 million, I think, to Guatemala for sex changes. This is not going to happen with American tax dollars any longer. And we're going to find out who you are, and it's going to stop.
JD Vance also chimed in. He tweeted this: if a judge tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. If a judge tried to command the attorney general in how to use her discretion as a prosecutor, that's also illegal. Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. And I'd just like to quickly add that JD Vance ain't no scrub. He's got a Yale law degree, but if you listen to the left, he's totally wrong. Adam Schiff chimed in and said, JD, we both went to law school, but we don't have to be lawyers to know that ignoring court decisions we don't like puts us on a dangerous path to lawlessness. We just have to swear an oath to the Constitution and mean it. Okay, a very weird response. He doesn't even seem to tackle the actual legal context at all. No, he just says, you have to follow all decisions made by any courts, which, yeah, sure, to a certain extent, but it doesn't mean that the court decision is right. And now I'm no legal scholar, but I did a little bit of research, mostly around the legal concepts that JD Vance was bringing up, and I stumbled upon something quite interesting. In other words, I think JD Vance's argument, at least so far, is holding up a whole lot better than whatever the heck that was from Adam Schiff. After a little bit of research and reading through comments, I noticed a couple people mentioning that there's actually a Supreme Court precedent in these sort of legal matters that was established in 1866 in the case of Mississippi versus Johnson. Supposedly, what was ruled back then was that courts cannot enjoin the president in the exercise of his official duties. Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution, which outlines the powers and responsibilities of the executive branch, does not grant district court judges the authority to issue injunctions against the president. So Article 2 is what we should be focused on here. It states that while courts can rule on the constitutionality of executive orders, they cannot issue injunctions against the president to prevent him from carrying out his executive duties. And the main reason behind the case's decision was that the judiciary cannot interfere with executive functions, as that would violate the separation of powers, which is kind of funny, because invoking the separations of powers is what Democrats are pointing to justify this legal blocking. But basically, from what I can gather, the correct legal pathway here would be for Congress to intervene through legislation or oversight, not an unelected judge unilaterally blocking executive actions. And so look, we gotta let the legal process here play out. There's some people, even including Elon Musk, who are calling for this judge to be impeached, but I don't know if that's the right decision. I think the better path is just let the legal process play out, let it go to the Supreme Court if it has to, and then see what happens. I mean, I think it's likely that the Trump administration is going to win quite easily here, and then the judge will be totally exposed as a partisan Democrat activist. And on top of that, the cherry on top will be the fact that we'll probably have actual legal precedent for cases like this.
Well, this isn't anything new. We've seen this for the last 4 years. This is the weaponization of our justice system. So thank God we have Pam Bondi in now as Attorney General, because it's not going to stand. We did expect it. We understand that there are some very inappropriate, radical judges that are seeing this as a platform to elevate themselves and get a headline. We'll deal with them in court. This is obviously not something we're not familiar with doing. And there will be repercussions, frankly, for those that try and go after President Trump's orders, for those people that are trying to step in his way and his agenda, which is the American people's agenda. We're seeing them cry and scream, and they need to adjust to reality.
I think the Trump administration is likely to win. I think that's why Pam Bondi was kind of, not taking it too seriously in her Fox News interview earlier, because they probably already know about the Supreme Court ruling that confirms that judges cannot issue injunctions on legitimate executive powers. That's basically what J.D. Vance was saying in his tweet. And in this case, the Department of Government Efficiency was established by executive order and is operating under the president's authority, so you would then gather that a district court stepping in and blocking its actions likely violates the Supreme Court precedent that was already set, and probably the Constitution itself. Now again, this is my very basic non-lawyer analysis, but I have a pretty good feeling I'm onto something here, and I'm just also generally not inclined to buy these constitutional arguments from these leftoids who seem to violate the Constitution at every freaking point and turn, not to mention all these activist judges that Democrats have put in place whose sole purpose seems to be hamstringing and sabotaging the Trump administration. So yeah, my initial reaction, just my gut feeling, is that most likely this judge is abusing his power. Most likely this temporary restriction of access is totally illegitimate, and it's likely going to get completely BTFO'd in the courts. But as per usual, we'll just have to see exactly what happens. I'm not really freaking out over it like a lot of people seem to be online. We've been through these types of situations before, and I generally always take the same approach. Let Democrats do their thing. They continue to expose themselves as corrupt actors engaging in lawfare, and I think this is just another example of that, or a likely example of that, and so just let the process play out. We'll cross the bridge when we get there. It's likely in a couple weeks a court slaps us down, or maybe it goes to the Supreme Court and they make the right constitutional decision as they usually do, and then we'll once again come full circle as the left throws their tantrum, talking about stacking the Supreme Court and this, that, and the other. I guess all that to say, time will tell. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.